A biting December wind whipped across the quiet street as Mira wiped the fog from the small cafe's window, peering out into the bluish dawn. Her fingers were numb, even though she'd been working near the stove for hours. Winters in the hill city of Dalhousie always felt harsher when your salary barely covered the heating bill and your landlord refused to fix the draft coming from the broken window. But Mira, at 26, had learned to survive without complaining. She tied her apron tighter, brushed away a loose strand of hair, and returned to the counter where a pot of ginger tea was slowly filling the air with warmth she wished she could tuck into her pockets and carry home. It was then she noticed them, two small figures huddled behind the trash bin outside the cafe, curled into each other like frightened kittens. For a moment she hesitated, unsure whether her imagination was playing tricks on her. But when a sudden gust of wind made one of the figures shiver violently, she rushed outside without thinking about her own thin sweater. Two boys, maybe 7 and 10, sat on the concrete, arms wrapped tightly around each other. Their faces were pale, lips slightly blue, and their clothes were thin, probably not enough for any winter, definitely not this one. "Ari, what are you two doing here?" Mira crouched down, her voice gentle. The older boy quickly stood as if preparing to run, placing himself protectively in front of his younger brother. "We're fine," he said, though his trembling voice betrayed him. "No you're not," she said firmly but kindly. "Come inside before you freeze." She held out a hand. The younger boy looked at her with eyes too big and too scared for his tiny frame. "Please," she added softly. Something in her tone, warmth laced with decisive kindness, made the elder boy nod. She guided them inside, seated them near the stove, and grabbed 2 clean blankets from the shelf. She wrapped one around each, and the boys buried themselves gratefully in the warmth. "I'll make you something hot," she said, already pouring tea into cups. When she placed the cups before them, she noticed how fast the younger one reached for it but glanced at his brother for permission before taking a sip. "My name is Mira," she said. "What are your names?" There was a long pause. Finally the elder boy said, "I'm Arav. This is my brother, Kabir." "Good names," she smiled. "Now tell me, where are your parents? Do they know you're out here at this hour?" Arav's jaw tightened. "We don't have parents." Mira froze. "What do you mean? Where do you stay?" The younger boy whispered, "We ran away." Arav gave him a warning glance, but Kabir continued, "We were at that big shelter down the road. But they hit us. They said we ate too much. So we left last night. We didn't know where to go." Mira's heart clenched. She sat down beside them and listened as they described living conditions so cruel that she wished she could unhear. Their stories of neglect made her blood boil. Without thinking twice, Mira brought them 2 full plates of parathas and sabzi, even though she knew her boss hated when she fed anyone without charging. But as she watched the boys devour the food, her boss's anger felt insignificant. After breakfast, the boys fell asleep right there beside the stove, huddled together under blankets. Mira let them sleep. She worked quietly through the morning rush, telling lingering customers to lower their voices. Each time she glanced at the boys, something strange tugged at her chest, a protective warmth she hadn't felt in years. Maybe ever. By afternoon, the temperature had dropped even further, and snowflakes began drifting lazily from the dull sky. Business slowed. Mira finally had time to sit beside the boys again. She gently shook Arav awake. "Listen, I can't keep you here permanently," she said. "But I know someone who works with child services. A good person. She'll help you find a safe place." Arav's face paled with panic. "No, don't send us back to any home. They'll hurt us again. I'll work. I'll sweep floors, clean tables, just don't send us back." His voice cracked, and Mira placed a hand on his shoulder. "I promise I won't let anything happen to you. But you can't live on the streets either." Kabir clutched her sleeve tightly. "Didi, please don't leave us." Tears pricked her eyes. She swallowed hard. "I'm not leaving. I'll figure something out. I promise." She didn't know how, but she meant every word. The next morning, a black luxury car pulled up outside the cafe, a rare sight in their small town. A tall man in an expensive coat stepped out, carrying an air of someone important, someone who didn't belong to the dusty quietness of Hilltop Cafe. Mira was wiping down tables while the boys, freshly bathed and dressed in clean sweaters she'd bought with her own money, were quietly eating poha she'd prepared. The man entered, and every head turned. He had sharp, polished features, hair neatly styled, and eyes that scanned the cafe with an intense focus. Mira walked toward him. "Good morning, sir. Table 4, she stopped. His gaze had landed on the boys, widening in shock. "Arav." His voice cracked. Both boys froze. Arav slowly stood, eyes wide. "Papa." And just like that, everything inside Mira came to a standstill. The man, still standing frozen, rushed toward the boys. He dropped to his knees and pulled them both into a tight embrace. He was trembling. I looked everywhere for you," he whispered. "Everywhere." Tears fell freely down his face, the kind of raw emotion one never sees from a man dressed like that. Mira blinked rapidly, unable to speak. "Papa." These boys had said they had no parents. What was happening? After several minutes, the man finally stood, keeping a hand on each boy's shoulder as if afraid they might vanish again. "My name is Arjun Malhotra," he said, turning to Mira. The name clicked instantly. Arjun Malhotra, CEO of Malhotra Technologies, one of the top firms in the country. A billionaire, a public figure, a man whose cold, intimidating persona in interviews never hinted he could cry like he just had. "I'm their father," he said, voice trembling. "And I owe you more than I can ever express." Mira tried to process everything. But, the boys said they didn't have parents. Arjun sighed heavily. "Their mother passed away 3 months ago. I was traveling abroad for a major project. When I returned, the caregiver I left them with had disappeared with the boys. I filed missing reports, hired search teams, everything. I thought I'd never see them again." He looked at the boys again, brushing their hair as if reassuring himself they were real. Mira felt her throat tighten. "They said they ran away from a shelter," she said softly. Arjun's eyes darkened with guilt. "After the caregiver vanished, someone must have abandoned them there. I had no idea." Arav spoke then, his voice small. "Papa, we thought you didn't want us. We heard the people there say you left us for good." Kabir cried every night. Arjun's face crumpled. He knelt again and held them tightly. "I will never leave you. Never again. I'm so sorry." When he rose again, he turned to Mira with a seriousness that made her straighten instinctively. "You saved them," he said. "You sheltered them, fed them, protected them. Anyone would've," she began. "No," he interrupted gently. "Most people wouldn't." His gaze softened. "Thank you." Mira smiled shyly, brushing it off. But the moment was cut short when her boss came storming in. "Mira, I told you not to bring homeless kids inside. They scare customers and, oh." Upon seeing Arjun, he stopped, eyes widening. Arjun turned to him with a calm, poised expression, a dangerous kind of quiet. "Is she your employee?" "Why yes sir, the best waitress we have," her boss lied instantly. Arjun's tone remained polite but held an unmistakable edge. "She is the reason my sons are alive and safe. If she had thrown them out, I would be performing funerals instead of this reunion." The boss stammered, face draining of color. Arjun continued, "Therefore, starting today, you will give Mira a raise. A significant one. And 2 months paid leave, effective immediately." Mira's eyes flew open. "Wait, no, sir. That's too much, it's not enough," he said simply. "Nothing is." Her boss nodded frantically. "Of course. Absolutely. Anything." Arjun turned back to her. "I insist." After the cafe emptied and Mira stepped outside for some air, Arjun followed. Snow was falling harder now. The boys stayed near the window, watching them. "Mira," he began softly, "I know we barely know each other. But I'm a father who almost lost his children forever. You stepped in when fate, or negligence, failed them." His voice trembled slightly. "I want to repay you properly." "You already have," she said. "Your gratitude is enough." He shook his head. "No, I wasn't talking about money." Mira frowned, unsure what he meant. Arjun inhaled deeply. "My sons haven't smiled in months. But this morning, when they were eating what you made, they looked alive again." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "They need someone gentle, someone kind, someone like you. And his voice grew quiet. "I haven't been this moved by anyone in a long time. Mira stared at him, stunned. Sir, what are you saying? Arjun gave a small, almost shy smile, the kind one would never expect from the CEO who made headlines with his ruthlessness. I'm saying that I want you in their lives. Her heart raced. You mean, as their caretaker? He shook his head slowly. As something more. Her breath caught. You don't even know me. I know enough, he said. I know you are the kind of woman a family is built around. She didn't speak for a long time. She barely breathed. Finally she whispered, Arjun, this is too big. Too sudden. He nodded gently. I know. I'm not asking you for an answer today. I'm asking you for a chance. He held out his hand. A chance to know you. To let you know me. To let my boys know the woman who saved them. The snow kept falling. The wind was cold. But Mira felt none of it. She looked at the boys inside, two boys she already felt fiercely protective of. She looked at Arjun, eyes filled with sincerity, vulnerability, and something else she didn't dare name yet. Slowly, she placed her hand in his. One chance, she murmured. That's all I'm asking for, he replied, but fate had a habit of moving faster than people expected. In the weeks that followed, Mira found herself drawn into their world, not the wealth or the luxury, but the warmth of a family she'd never had. She spent evenings with the boys, helped with homework, cooked meals with Arjun by her side, and slowly, she realized how naturally she fit into a space she never knew was waiting for her. And the boys, they clung to her with a kind of love she wasn't prepared for. One evening, 2 months later, during a quiet dinner, Kabir suddenly blurted, Papa, can Mira stay with us forever? Arav nodded. Yeah, I want her to be our mom. Mira froze, her fork in midair. Arjun stared at his sons, then looked at her. In his eyes she saw the same question, the same hope. He reached across the table and took her hand. Mira, he said softly, will you? His voice trembled. Will you be my wife? And somewhere between the warmth in their eyes and the quiet beating of her heart, Mira realized she already belonged to them. Yes, she whispered, tears filling her eyes. Yes, I will. The boys cheered. Arjun kissed her hand, his smile brighter than she'd ever seen. And the waitress who once worked in a small cold cafe became the heart of a home, a mother to 2 boys, and the wife of a man who once walked into her life by fate, but stayed by choice.